good evening. We're not gonna be able to have a business meeting tonight, unfortunately, because we don't have a quorum, but we do have things we'd like to go over with everybody. A few things happened since last month. We have begun the asphalt work. I know we've done Rue Martel, some of it around Lake Bergerac, and there's another one back off the side of South Capri. I forget the name of the street. We've done that already. And they have a few more to do, and that should be pretty much wrap that up, and I'm guessing the next couple of weeks. The police contract with the Sheriff's Department, that's something that we've been working on really hard here lately. We do have a contract in place. I spoke with the county commissioner today, and they are putting together the final numbers as far as cost per hour. It's gonna have to have the officers here. I look for that to be signed probably tomorrow. I was hoping for today, but unfortunately it didn't happen, but I've been very happy with them so far. They've responded very well, and some of our elected officials have worked very hard to make sure this happens and look out for our best interests. So they've worked very hard to make this happen. The association, primarily Deb, worked on to get a PPP loan in the amount of $118,000 for the payroll protection for the employees, and some of this, Andy, 75% of that gets spent on payroll. Do you know the numbers?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was, or 75%, up to 75% forgivable for payroll and other expenses.
Okay, so this loan's forgivable if we spend 75% of it in payroll. So, that's a good opportunity for us. That was good work, Deb, and Andy and Carrie had a lot to do with making that come into place too. I know they had mentioned it, but that was a great job. The board has hired Crouch and Farley to perform the 2019 audit, and the work has begun. We originally had what's the name of that? Thurman and Shin that was originally going to do the audit, and with the COVID-19, they cut their hours back and was unable to do it. So we had spoken with the accountant. We had hired her doing the books, and she recommended we get a 2019 audit. So we have accepted the bid for Crouch and Farley for $8,360, I believe, to perform the 2019 audit, and they have begun. The board will now be seeking bids for the 2020 audit to be prepared. The board has secured accountant Maloney, Wright & Robbins to review the conversation forum of the current top system software to the new community management system, PayHOA. So we're going to have an accounting firm oversee the transition of the books being switched from top system to PayHOA. And this is supposed to happen before January 1st. In the process currently, but it'll be wrapped up before the end of the year. We will have ACH debit available very soon for property owners. ACH payments will be at no charge to the property owner. So you can have your dues and assessments taken out monthly. Credit cards will now be charged 3% of the charge from the credit card processing company. This is something that should have probably been into play 4 years ago when it became law where you was able to do it, because these credit card fees are mounting up into thousands, tens of thousands. I mean, it's $12,000 to $13,000 was last year's expenses on the credit card fees. This is, something that until 2014, we could do nothing about. Now they passed a law where you can charge a 3% charge. So that's something that that's a lot of money that was being overlooked through the years. And that's about all we have from us to kind of follow up with what we've gone through this month. Iggy has better? Okay. Iggy has a public works report. They've accomplished a lot there in the last month. I'd like for him to give that and talk about what they've done.
Good evening. For the month of August, beginning of, I'm not loud enough?
People at home can't hear you.
From the beginning of August till today, so far in Public Works, we have made a blacktop list initially the beginning of the month, so we can compile a list of all the roads that need work done. After that list was done, we repaired several asphalt patches for the area. We also prepared the 2020 asphalt overlay road surface, performed the road cuts, and just get that road prep for the asphalt that's being overlaid right now. Like Dwayne mentioned, the project has already started. Martel is complete. There's some work being done in the area of Lake Bergerac. A few of the dirt roads were graded and rocks added. Repaired quite a bit of potholes. We treated the aquatic vegetation and algae in the lakes that were reported to us with the issues. Performed a lot of vehicle equipment repair maintenance. We continued our mowing, trimming, and beautification of Cheddar Lake, and we will continue to do that until such time that the grass stops growing for the winter season. We cut and cleaned trees from the roadsides. We also cut down some of the dead trees on the double wides, get that cleared out as well. We hauled quite a bit of scrap throughout, leveled and dragged the beaches. We tried our best to keep up with that and keep it clean, get the trash taken care of. We did quite a bit of job training in the month of August because there was some transition between Cody leaving and myself stepping in to learn his position. We, shortly after Cody left, there was a vacant position which we immediately got filled. We replaced quite a few road signs. In the last month, we've had a few road signs down through vehicle accidents. Those were quickly replaced. As you guys probably seen on social media today, we finished up the shower project at the beaches. So now Capri Bathhouse to the back side of the pavilion has a rinse shower. However, both of those on Capri and Marseille, the intent right now is at sunset, they will be shut off. They will be open in the morning till sunset. That way, if anyone is out there throughout the day, they can have access to it. After that, it is shut off. We also did some repairs to the salt shed. When I started over at Public Works, there was concerns about the salt shed and bringing in new salt and the safety of the shed. We were able to quickly address that and get that buttoned up. That way we can get new salt and get ready for the new winter season. Year to date right now, we have issued 189 permits. Most of those were for property remediation, but we've seen quite a bit for home repairs, shoreline repairs, and just general like shed and home maintenance. That's about it for now. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? You mentioned treating the lake water for if we call, can you come do that, or?
Yes, if there's any issue, what we do is we advise people to call into Public Works. We determine what resolution is best for the issue, and we'll try our best to resolve it.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we're ready to go to the question answers. Is there any names on the sign-up sheet?
Do you want these?
Yes. Sarah Barnett.
Really, I need to go first. Mine's real simple.
Could you, I was gonna say, could you come up here and get a mic if you would, so they can get you? There's one back there.
That's the one that I turned on and it did the, yeah, so we have to go there.
Sorry.
I don't want to risk it again.
I just wanted to ask the board to consider a few things for the trailer parks development. One is maybe some speed bumps. I know that most trailer parks in the States have, in Missouri, require speed bumps. Ours don't have it, it's private property, I understand that. So can you consider that? The other one is I'm really wanting a tiny house. I want to put a tiny house on my lot, pull my dump trailer out. Even no matter how much you paint it, it's still, a turd, it's still a turd. I know that. I'd like a tiny house. That's one other thing, okay, you're fixed on that. Don't get me nervous, though,
Sorry.
Okay, Sarah, that's a very valid point, and the speed bumps is something we should definitely
With the gate and that ugly
consider.
fence that cuts off the ball field, I know that for security and traffic issues, they put a ugly fence up on the ball field road from the trailer park to the ball field.
Okay,
I'd like to see that gone and maybe 2 boulders where you can't get a car through there, but you could get a golf cart and pedestrians. Because I don't want to have to cut through the woods to get to the ball field. And I
Sure.
don't have to walk all the way around on Notre Dame to get to the ball field.
okay. That's something we can definitely look at. You're talking about the 90-degree curve that
Yes,
used to
sir.
be the cutoff street through there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then you're saying put the boulders where maybe a bicycle could get through, or you
Like
can
a
walk,
bicycle, even a golf cart, I mean, that
Even
would
if
be
you just.
great.
But not an automobile.
It's got 4
And it's
posts.
falling down anyway.
So even
Okay.
if you just took out the center post and made it to where even, you know, it would be wide enough still for a golf cart or ATV.
Okay.
But I know you don't wanna take it out completely because people would be flying through there.
I noticed Ziggy's taking notes on this right now. I was watching him take notes on it, so that's something that we will definitely look at. What do you think, probably the next couple of days, look at the situation, see what we can do?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get that taken care of. And the tiny homes is something we'd have to look at as a board.
Well, and I could research pictures for you, I've been really into this for quite a long time.
You're saying replace the trailer lots with tiny homes, you're saying, and
Or you can do them one at a time, like, you know, especially if your assessments are current, and this 2 years on a trailer, have you seen the mobile homes right now?
yes, I've seen lots of
And
them.
a tiny home, I could get a tiny home for a third of the cost. My husband does the building, and it's done.
That's something to seriously consider, because that's a,
No more skirting, because you can lay them so close to the ground that no more
And
skirting.
what we mean by tiny homes is not built, you know, I know some people can build their own, but we're talking about a professionally constructed.
I understand.
Right.
I can submit pictures to the board if you
It
want.
would certainly be an upgrade to some of it that's down there currently.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
awesome.
So it's something we could definitely
And
look
a
at.
neighbor asked me to ask you, because she couldn't make it to the meeting, is can we lower that 2-year thing? As long as we submit pictures and maybe say they could find one that's been a repo that's 5 years old, and it's beautiful, and it's an improvement to her life. Isn't that an improvement to us all? Just
I
something
would
to kick around.
Definitely agree with you, because there's some 2-year-old ones that would be junk and 5-year-old ones that may be
Yes, sir.
well maintained. It's probably something we should look at on an individual basis,
Yes.
possibly.
Right, for
Yeah.
sure, right now, we're all 60 years old.
And
Yes.
I think we can all agree that anything's an improvement to the trailer.
It definitely needs to be addressed, I will say that. It needs addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Diane Moore.
It's about the policing issue and the article that was in the Daily Journal. Could any of you respond to that Daily Journal article, which brought a lot of discussion on Nextdoor today? I mean, a lot of discussion, which rightly so. You didn't, it was all about Terre de Lac and what St. Francis County Police is doing to, it's made it sound like we have no police right now. No, I'm talking about, there was an article in Daily Journal, I think it was yesterday.
Yes.
It was, just came out yesterday, and the headline is St. Francis County near a decision with Terre de Lac.
And it did sound like we had no police.
It sounded like we have no police. It said the police have turned in their uniforms. They have, their cars are sitting there. It's something that I'm surprised that we wouldn't have looked at. I mean,
We did look at it pretty much so.
She's talking about the article.
The article.
Oh, the article.
If the article came out in the Daily Journal, and there's a lot of people that read it, and I guess, I'm sure everybody at home would like your response to what it said. It's made it sound like we have no police at this moment. And people are saying that when they call the police in the last week, maybe, that St. Francis County is coming out, not Terre Lac.
He needs the microphone to talk back.
Okay, so somebody, you're gonna tell me, that you're gonna go talk about what is wrong about that Daily Journal article?
I didn't read the Daily Journal article, ma'am, I'm responding to what you're asking.
Well,
Let
hang
me see
on.
if I can find it.
Okay.
So anyway,
But
first question was, do we have a police department?
we are covered currently by St. Francis County. Terre de Lac does not have a police department. Terre de Lac will not ever have its own police department anymore. We will be St. Francis County deputies. They are not sheriffs, I'm sorry. They are not even police anymore, they are sheriffs. They still have arresting power. The contract is right here. It's waiting on the final numbers from the county commissioner. We cannot get on, I mean, you gotta think about this from a public safety standpoint. You cannot get on the internet and say, we don't have no coverage in Terre de Lac, we're being covered by the county. That puts the county shorthanded. I was told what to say by people that I took their advice from on this as a major safety concern. I was also told by the sheriff, and this has been completely confirmed, he would have us, a deputy, assigned in this particular area until this here was signed. That has most certainly been done. He has very much upheld his end of the bargain. We did not, but you don't go advertising on the internet, hey, Terre de Lac don't have a police department, that puts the sheriff's department shorthanded, that puts criminal at large. You gotta put public safety into concern here. Okay, we are being covered, our guys are still working, there's one back there right now, Mr. Vest, he worked all weekend. They are working as security until this here's signed, which is just gonna be, if we would've got the proper paperwork back last week, it would've been signed last week. Unfortunately, the county attorney made an error with the contract agreement. It's been fixed, and they're plugging in the numbers. They've asked for financials for 2019, for 2020, to do payroll, and it's gonna be I look for it to be a rather smooth transition, and a very positive thing, actually, for Terre de Lac and the officers. I mean, the officers are gonna have, access now to health care and retirement plan, which they never had before.
The same officers.
These same officers are going to be out here, the same cars. They're still gonna be driving the same cars. They will be lettered differently. They will be lettered, help me out on this, Jonathan. St. Francis County Sheriff's,
It'll be St. Francis County Sheriff's Office will Terre de Lac underneath it.
okay,
It'll just
so,
be like you see on regular county strike, you see a St. Francis County Sheriff, deputy on the road, it's gonna say Terre de Lac underneath it.
yes. They are still assigned to Terre de Lac, more than likely still the same schedules, same gentlemen. They will respond outside of Terre de Lac to mutual aid calls only, the same as they currently do. They are switching everything that says police to sheriff. The color of the uniforms is gonna be brown, and I'm getting a lot of calls and concerns saying, you've just left the county with an open checkbook. That is not correct. We have a police budget. We are going to stay within that police budget. Whatever number they come back with is something we have to meet. That is not that is completely untrue. There's not an open checkbook, nothing like that. It's all gonna stay within budget, and I think in the long run, it'll be a much better thing for Terre de Lac. I hope that answers everything you had.
The article came out yesterday in the Daily Journal. The title is St. Francis County and Terre de Lac are closer to an agreement.
Mhm.
Closer to an agreement,
Yeah.
not an agreement.
Okay.
It talks about
But he's
how-
providing coverage in the gap in the end.
Yes.
But we're
Right,
not.
it talks about how they were talking about we would be paying 5% maximum cost increase, and the board said no, that would just be an actual, whatever it costs.
On a cost basis.
That's what it would be. But it does say in here, talks about why it says we should never have had a police department because we are not incorporated, we don't.
Okay, that I'm gonna say right there, that's a complete misprint. They also misprinted some stuff that I'd said too. I did not say the officers are getting a 20% increase, pay increase. I did not say that. What I did say was, I looked for payroll the payroll portion of our police budget to increase approximately 20%. This is just a number I come up off my mind, off the top of my head. When you put health insurance and stuff like that, you have that cost. Now, there's other ways we can save throughout that budget. That was me saying that. That was not a 20% pay increase for the officers. Where the township stuff come in was, we had a meeting with the insurance broker. The insurance broker told us if we were incorporated, they cannot deny you insurance. They have to, because you're acting as a township. Sheriff and I spoke. We wanted to know which options we had available to make sure we had police service in Terre de Lac. The options were, I'm gonna call it merge, co-op, I don't know the proper verbiage, but we all understand with the sheriff's department, that was an option. The second option would be incorporated. At that point, it's a no-brainer. You're guaranteed insurance. We also lose a lot of stuff. That's not something I think it's something I'm against, I'll say that. Some people may be for it, but I'm not. And that would guarantee us police. That's the only thing where they're saying we're acting as a township. That was taken way out of context.
Right, it doesn't say anything about a cost, really. It just says that, it also talks about how if there's any lawsuits to our police department, and I don't know if there are, that could be a problem because the county would then be taking over our police, and there could be a problem with that. Are there any lawsuits against?
That's all there is currently, but that's all being handled by the attorneys. They got that all under control.
Okay, that's.
The Daily Journal, I gotta say, some of it was very accurate. Some of it was very inaccurate. I mean, and I have the contract right here. I can tell you that. And some of that you're reading is inaccurate.
Yeah, that's what, so people at home, I'm sure, are wondering because it's been on next door.
I totally understand, but I think that's a lot of what's wrong with the world is the Nextdoor apps and the news and info apps. I really believe that that's a lot of this. You got to look at the public safety concern. You do not blab. If I had this to do over again, I would do the exact same thing. The sheriff told me we were covered. I take the man to his word. I have seen the St. Francis County Sheriff's Department out here numerous times throughout the week.
Yeah,
That's all we can ask for. I mean,
And our guys worked.
our guys worked as well. And that's anybody. I don't know what else we could have done. We don't blab that on the internet that we don't have police because the sheriff's department's kind of shorthanded at that point as well.
Well, the Daily Journal did, so.
I understand that. Yeah,
So it did say
I understand.
that we don't have any.
I can assure you this board has worked very hard, spent many hours ensuring that we have police protection. We have gone above and beyond what we have to do. I'm proud of everybody for chipping in and helping here. I think that we've done an excellent job myself.
The idea of the security guards is that security instead of police has never been something that I thought was a good idea, but it's beginning to be more and more like maybe we should look into it, because if our police can't do anything on most of our roads here.
We had this discussion yesterday as a board meeting, but not security, code enforcers.
Basically, rule and regulation.
Rules and regulations enforcers. We just had this
Right.
discussion yesterday evening.
Right,
Yep.
so if we had that, plus we can always call St. Francis County.
No, I disagree with that. We need the police here. I've seen what they have to deal with. We need the police here. We also need more code enforcement officers.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Which wouldn't have to be police, I guess.
So can they issue speeding tickets?
Only careless and imprudent driving tickets, driving while intoxicated tickets, and that's it, with the exception of the county road.
Yeah, our speed limits are,
So what?
rules and regulations. So would be the code enforcement person that would enforce
A
that.
code enforcement officer
Can
could.
they issue a ticket?
As soon as we get them all hired, staffed, and we get everything worked out, we'll be able to, yes, they will definitely.
There's things in the works that we have in the works that's gonna help provide some.
Where's my other question?
Do we have three?
Two, but there's one that someone called.
Email question.
Okay, we have one more question that come in on the email. At the last board meeting, a question was asked about a rumor of a board member buying lots on a gravel road. The rumor was the road is now being paved to increase the values of those lots. I didn't hear a response from the board. Excuse me. Would you please address this at the meeting and let us know if there's any truth to this rumor? Okay, Mr. Dobbs answered your question. I'm assuming that would, unless anybody else bought any property? Okay, I'm assuming that would be me. And that's just not true at all. There's nothing factual behind that. Anybody's more than welcome to look up on the assessor site any property we may have purchased. I will say, this is the road plan for the next 5 years. I'm sorry, it goes into 2022, so next 2 years. And this is what I'm assuming they was saying that where the change was. Because the only piece of property that I own on here was a proposed chip and seal plan that we was gonna do in-house. Meaning our guys in Public Works was gonna get an oil truck, get 3/8 inch chip rock, and do some improvements to some of our gravel roads that have compacted base. We have some very good ones that are ready that they're traveled heavy enough to where it's definitely a dust issue, but they're not traveled heavily enough to where they need a 2-inch overlay. It'd be nice in a perfect world, but unfortunately we're short of funds. So we looked at, different ways of getting a little something done in more places and expand it and use a chip and seal. Now, some of the roads we had picked out was, the roads between Rue Terrebonne and Notre Dame. There's a few gravel roads there that our guys was gonna experiment in-house and do some chip and seal. Unfortunately, the group, or the Public Works Director at the time didn't feel we had the equipment and stuff to do so. So it's got put on the back burner and none of it's ever happened. Other roads we proposed, and this is from previous roads that have been done, and I spoke with a couple of these people. There's Rue Orleans. At one time, some of you may live on Rue Orleans. You may live on that. Okay. How long have you been here?
About 5 years.
Okay, you probably wouldn't know them, but anyway, back in, I'm gonna say the 80s, probably mid-80s, that was actually chip and seal.
Yes.
Okay, so of course, my goal was to do these nice level streets first, right between Rue Terrebonne in-house with our guys. Then we was gonna tackle some more complicated ones, Rue Orleans, with some hills in it, and Wild Turkey, which my property is on Wild Turkey, at the end of Wild Turkey. As everyone can look here, it's 0.6 of a mile, which takes you to Estates 1, which is probably farther. We're about halfway from here to my house right now. It's a good mile and a half, so if that's paving close to my property, I guess I'm guilty, but it's a good mile and a half, and it's not gonna happen. And those people, Mr. Kwan had chip and sealed that back in, I wanna say 2007. He had chip and sealed that for those people, spent a numerous amount of money doing so. And when I started on the board, a couple of those people come and they said, hey, we're here gonna do chip and seal. We feel that this was done once, the association didn't maintain it. It's our responsibility to maintain. I gotta say, I agree with them. If we're doing this in-house and we're able to do this, and this is something that was done at one time, I got to say that I agree with them. It has nothing to do, it's not even anywhere close to my property. So I hope that answers the question. That's about the best I can do on it.
How do you determine what roads get paved and which ones don't?
We have not determined what that, I can give you a copy of this. This was done in the previous years past. It was a 5-year road plan. I would like to see it, changed. I would like to see some experiments in chip and seal. I think it's a fraction of the cost. I think there's several.
Well, gravel roads only.
Gravel roads only,
Gravel
yes.
roads.
And only compacted gravel roads that are ready for it. You can tell when you drive on. Rue Orleans is definitely ready for it. It's like concrete. The ones down here, Rue Charlemagne, St. Pierre, yeah.
The test bed,
Yeah,
we
yes.
use a test bed that doesn't get a lot of traffic. The road behind us here, from the chalets up this way, because nobody drives on that. So we could get we could test out, see how we can lay it, see if we can apply it, see if we can do it. And then we were gonna try it on roads where there's actually traffic, so we can see how well it holds up, before we came up with a plan to cover, as much as we could annually. That was all supposed to happen this year, and then
I know Route Charles, that's a shortcut.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I think through the years, just my belief, I believe through the years that we've kind of not expanded and kept up, and we've kind of outgrown the infrastructure, obviously, and I think that that is probably a way that, the quickest, most cost-efficient way that we can get there. On some of our roads are not worthy of it. Some of our roads are not worthy of chip and seal whatsoever. They're just, they do not have a proper base. It's gonna take a lot of money. Some of them, Route Charles, for example, Darcy Drive would be one that I would consider chip and sealing. And once again, none of this has been approved. I'm just saying, Rue Orleans, Wild Turkey, several of those, if we're ever gonna expand and do that, chip and seal would definitely increase the property values between point A to point B, much more so than what we have right now. And I think that's the only way we're gonna be able to keep up with growing. We're growing fast, and
Now, I know there was some discussion about the EPA and the trucks and the main drag coming through, all right, the water tower and all that stuff. I mean, that's the main drag coming in here.
yes, sir.
People that wanna look at property and stuff, they gotta ride down that road. I tell you, that road's a washboard. I mean, I drive it in my truck and, I mean, you can't even drink a cup of coffee, I mean, it's so bad.
I totally understand, and
There discussion about just overpaving that, making it at least a nice entrance coming in.
Andy and I have worked, Andy more or less has spent more time than myself on a road plan, and we have a plan. I would love to execute that plan again, this has been a horrible year with get stuff done. It's the situation we're in. I'll just put it to you this way, I would be willing to get very aggressive with the road plan.
Is the EPA,
Yeah.
with all the trucks and heavy trucks coming in, are they, after this thing is done, are they going to help improve some roads?
We're trying to hold them accountable. It's at best impossible to track each truck and what damage they might be doing. But we're trying. We're limiting the access. We've given them routes. To my knowledge, they're following the routes. I haven't heard anything different. To try to at least minimize the impact to certain roads as much as possible. They're still spread out quite a bit, trying to meet the demand. They have some health concerns with people. They want to replace yards for them first. They're kind of having priority yards. And as soon as they get past that point, then we can group them and we can really minimize damage abroad or throughout the development and sort of control it to one area. And then it'd be a little bit easier to track any damage they possibly can. But it's
So there might be an opportunity.
it's at best, we have to put somebody on them. There's, I don't know how many trucks are running through now, but call it 20. It's a full-time gig to try to follow them all around. Anyway, is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.